And hello everyone, it is Peter Sam, the Narrow Gauge Engine here, and today we are looking at the Railway series once again. We are looking at Troublesome engines and the 8 famous engines. I had them in the wrong way round, I just realised this now. Anyway, both really good. I find them to be absurdly good. Done well. The Golden Age of Audrey, done well. And the Silver Age, done well. Very good testaments to each age of Audrey. I call it the Audrey-sance, but enough about that. So, as usual, this one is going to move aside and we're going to take an in-depth look at the Golden Age of Audrey. Audrey's finest and earliest works that I think most people seem to think are better because they're earlier. Whether that opinion is true, I don't know, but we might have to disprove it this episode. Who knows? Who knows which is going to be better, you know? So let's start off with Henry and the Elephant. What a happy-go-lucky story. I mean, it's very charismatic in what it does. It brings a circus to Sodor, and while Henry doesn't get to pull the train, he still gets to experience some sort of element of that. And you know what? I think that's very, very class. I love it. It's a very, very fun one to read. And yeah, it's just great. I love every aspect of it. I don't know if I rated it high in my Series 4 episodes, but then again, Series 4 was the one with the narrow gauge in, and I love narrow gauge. So that might have been rated low. But here, it's one of the best ones in the book. And you know what? For such a simple story, it's got great charisma. So next up, we have Tenders and Turntables. Easily the best story in here. It's very, again, light-hearted, but it's new, it's different, you know. It takes something common in railways, something we've seen before, and it adapts it, and it makes it fun, and it makes it enjoyable. I definitely enjoyed this more than Henry and the Elephant, but only by a smidge. I don't think there's much in it between the two. Gordon's bit, it's alright. I prefer James's bit because that is the iconic moment in the TV series as well as the story. So yeah, I think this is the one iconic moment. Apart from, you know, them going on strike. Spoilers. Why should I say spoilers? You know what's coming. Anyway, yeah, that is my opinion. I think it is the best one in here. I definitely think that Trouble in the Shed is a letdown compared to this. I said that, I think I said that in the ranking every season 1. If I didn't, then I do now. I do believe that it is a letdown. So yeah, let's get on to that one. Trouble in the Shed. Now, personally, it's not the worst story in here because the one next is actually appalling. But yeah, it's pretty bad. It's kind of a letdown. It's just them sitting in the shed. The story doesn't really focus on what it's supposed to be focusing on, which is Gordon, James, and Henry. Pay more attention to the people that are going on strike rather than, you know, the things, you know what I mean, like. So, I mean, this episode, it's not an episode. I keep making that mistake. I've had to, like, try 7 times. I've probably made it and I haven't even realised it. But yeah, this story, is, it gives us Percy, which, yeah, cool. And that's why it's got plus points. But apart from that, it's just how the Fat Controller copes. Do I care? You know, we're here for the engines, not the guy in the bold man, you know. But I mean, it's still alright. I wouldn't mind reading it. Yeah. And now on to the worst story in this book. Yeah. Okay, so the last story in this book is Percy Runs Away. And if you've watched Ranking every season 1 episode video, you will know that I don't really have a high opinion of it. I regret putting it last. I definitely think that it doesn't deserve that now, but it is pretty crap. It's just an episode of someone running away, and I mean, we have runaways in Thomas and the Trucks and Dirty Objects that do far better, honestly. I mean, I know Dirty Objects didn't happen yet, but still, that's what I'm saying. You know, there's just far better runaways that you can go and watch. Why would you want a little tank engine running off? This one is definitely the outlier. This story is the outlier to this whole book. It should focus on the three, engines that, went on strike, and it just goes away from that. They just bunk them up. They just bunk them off in the first page here. They're just like, oh, okay, bye. And then they move on to Percy, who, I mean, for all intents and purposes, he should have gotten his own book in the next one, in the next volume, which was actually Henry the Green Engine. But yeah, I think they should have just bunked this one off, split the Gordon and James thing into two separate stories, and I think we would have been all happier. Because, well, I mean, this one is alright. I still rated it low, but come on, Audrey, you could do better. Okay, so now we're moving on to the 8 famous engines in the silver, you might call the silver era of Audrey's writings. If you want to know how I break these up into the gold, silver, bronze, I think the first 9 volumes, that's 3 railway engines to Edward the Blue Engine, is the golden era, and then 4 little engines, which is the 10th volume, to Stepney the Bluebell Engine is the silver era, and then everything after that, from mountain engines to tramway engines, is the bronze era. I consider Christopher Audrey's writings to be more like a modern era, but yeah, that's how I view these books. I view them, based off of, stories and artists as well helps. I know that it's a bit off, but shush, I don't care. Yeah, this is just how I view it, and the 8 famous engines falls under the silver era, the era that is mostly forgotten about and the era that I like the least. It's definitely a bit niche. It's more about world building than actual story, I think, in my opinion. But is the 8 famous engines better than the Troublesome engines? Is the silver era in this case better than the golden era? This is what we're going to find out in a minute. Percy takes the plunge. What can I say? It's iconic. I remember reading this particular story as a child. I remember having this volume of the railway series in my library, in my local library, and I loved it, there was also Jock the New Engine. Was there Duck and the Diesel Engine? I think there was, and maybe Oliver the Western Engine as well, and there was a few others. But yeah, this one was, when I got the collection, this one stuck out to me. I remember this one, and oh my god, it is amazing. This story in particular is so well written, the illustrations are so good. I almost gave it a 5 in the ratings, which we'll see in a minute, but I resisted. I feel like there could have been something else. It just has this weird little gap for me that I need filling, and it just doesn't do it enough. It does it really, really well, but it just doesn't do it enough for me. It's so close to getting that 5, but it just, there's something else that needs to be there. I don't think. I think it would have benefited from an extra page, in my opinion. I think, yeah, there definitely needed to be some more in-depthness to this to make it a 5. So next up is Gordon Goes Foreign. I'll tell you what, this is another almost 5. I am so disappointed that I cannot get a 5 here, because they're so good, but they're both missing something. I like how the story caps off, how it ends. It's amazing. But it just is missing something. I feel like Percy Takes the Plunge is better than Gordon Goes Foreign, but they're in the same league, really. They are both so close to that 5. But again, I think they both would benefit from having an extra page, And considering the next 2 stories, which I believe to be lesser than these 2, it's not doing it. Nah, it's not doing it. I wish I could give it a 5 because it's, again, brilliantly illustrated. It's brilliantly written. It's just so good. And I am struggling, and it hurts to not give it a 5. But I have to stay true to what this series is all about. It's about being unbiased. It's about making sure that, you know, you have to be as fair as possible. And in this case, if there's something missing for me, there's something missing, and I have to give it that 4.5. Next up is Double Header. It's definitely good, but it's nothing compared to Gordon Goes Foreign and Percy Takes the Plunge. I like the dynamic duo of Toby and James. We've seen it before though, so it might be a bit weak with that, and I probably prefer Dirty Objects. I'll get to that one in the next episode actually, because that's when Toby the Tram Engine is. But in terms of this episode, there's nothing too spectacular. It's just James's payout for being too vain. I feel like, you know, this one, it's not as good as the other two. It's just so like, it's so like mediocre, but at the same time, like, I like it. I wouldn't mind reading it, and it is good because, you know, the payout and the illustrations. But I can't. This hurts. This genuinely hurts. I don't. Why am I doing this to myself? And last but not least is the Fat Controllers Engines. I mean, this is Meta Thomas at its finest. This story is just amazing. This it's the weakest of all of the stories here, but it's still good. Like, it definitely doesn't bring as much, but it has the crash, it has the meta-ness that we love so dearly. It links back to the first story with Ginty and Pug as well, which, you know, I can appreciate. It's just, there's nothing grand, there's no grandeur to it. I mean, it's just them gonna see a bunch of people that want to look at them. There's not much grandeur to it. I feel like, you know, there should have been something about, like, the new engines disliking the Fat Controllers engines because they feel so, like, powerful and so, you know, up themselves. I just think there should have been that dynamic, and, you know, it missed out on that a bit. But then again, it is a children's book, so what is my life? Reviewing children's books for the world to see. But yeah, I just feel like it could do with some sort of, you know, dynamic with the new and the Fat Controllers engines. It's just missing out entirely. Again, the ending as well, weakest of the 4, but it's still good. Again, I enjoyed reading it. Definitely a good one. Okay, so the ratings now. Troublesome Engines, Henry and the Elephant, 3.5 out of 5. Tenders and Turntables, 4 out of 5. Trouble in the Shed, 2.5 out of 5. Percy Runs Away, 2 out of 5, with a total of 6 out of 10. The 8 famous engines, Percy Takes the Plunge, 4.5 out of 5. Gordon Goes Foreign, another 4.5 out of 5. Double Header, 3.5 out of 5. The Fat Controllers engines, 3 out of 5, giving a total of 7.75 out of 10. So, which is better? Well, it's obviously the 8 famous engines. I mean, it's got everything. It's got the grandeur, the meta-ness, almost grandeur. It's not really there. It's got fun stories. It's got great illustrations compared to the likes of C. Reginald Dalby, who, yeah, he wasn't that good. John D. Kenny pulled it out of the park here. He's definitely an amazing artist, and he clearly is very good at what he does. Audrey Tro's right with him. It's too bad he's dead. Anyway, yeah, I've been Peter Sam. Definitely look at both of these, by the way. I didn't say that. I mean, it was only like a 0.75 off Troublesome Engines. It's still a good read. Definitely worth your while. But yeah, I've been Peter Sam. You've been you. The audience has been the audience. The books have been the books. I don't know why I'm rambling. But I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.